Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smaulgld speculation series. Today we're going to talk about what does it mean that Rudolph Giuliani has joined the Trump legal team. Rudy Giuliani is a former mayor of New York, but that's not what's important. Rudy Giuliani was formerly the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Giuliani has said that the reason he has joined the Trump team is to help bring the Mueller probe to an end, and he says he can do it within a week. He's given no details. So I'm going to try to piece together what I think might be happening. So far, the Mueller probe has found no direct collusion between Donald Trump and the Russians. This is something that the Democrats have banked on. There's a certain segment of the population that insists that this is true. They have to believe this. There's no way Trump could have won unless the Russians helped him and Hillary Clinton should be president. And that is a narrative that they fervently believe. And so far, Mueller has not been able to come up with anything because we have seen there's plenty of evidence that this was the plan all along, was somehow to hound Trump out of office. This was the insurance policy that they would then turn him into some type of Russian agent. And the people that were involved in this, and this is where Mueller needs a way out, were Rod Rosenstein, who's the one who appointed Mueller. He currently is the deputy FBI director. He signed off on FISA warrants on the basis of the Steele dossier, which was sourced from Russia and in Comey's own words was unverified and salacious. Comey also signed off on the FISA warrants, and admittedly knowing this was true. Comey also has leaked his memos with his conversations with Trump after he was fired to a law professor for the purpose of leaking them to the New York Times to get a special counsel appointed, which is what Rosenstein did in appointing Mueller. So Rosenstein decided somehow the Comey memos, which contained classified information, which admittedly told Trump that there was nothing to those memos, nothing to the Steele dossier, and yet that's what he and Rosenstein used to get the FISA warrant in order to spy on the Trump campaign. Those memos are what Rosenstein uses the basis to get the special counsel. And there's really nothing in those memos to lead you to believe that there should be a special counsel appointed. Now, you've got Comey and Rosenstein both signing off on the FISA warrants to spy on Trump. And you have Rosenstein also, besides appointing the special counsel to look into the Trump collusion, also wrote a memo critical of Comey on how he handled the Hillary Clinton email investigation. And on that basis is how Trump fired Comey. So Rosenstein is not only involved in colluding with Comey to get the FISA warrants, they both did the same thing. He also colluded with Comey to get the special counsel by taking into his account Comey's leaked emails, or leaked memos with his conversations with Trump. And then Rosenstein also recommended that Comey be fired. So those two are in a lot of trouble, I believe. Now, take McCabe, who was the former Deputy Attorney General. Now, he worked for Comey. So he's responsible, Comey is responsible for McCabe. McCabe was found that he had been untruthful in many of the leaks that he had made and some of his behavior by the Inspector General. And the Inspector General has now asked for a criminal referral to be made on McCabe. So you can see how McCabe is already screwed. He's been fired and referred for a criminal proceeding, and Rosenstein and Comey look to be in trouble too. So where does that leave Mueller? Mueller was appointed by Rosenstein on the basis of Comey memos to look into Russian collusion, and so far all he's done is conduct a couple of pre-dawn raids, one on Manafort and one on Trump's attorney Cohen, which, by the way, Rosenstein says that Trump was not a subject in that particular raid. So what has Mueller done, and what is he to show for it? Well, he's indicted a Russian troll farm, which you did not need an investigation to know that there will be actors during the campaign that try to interfere, but there was no connection to the Trump campaign. So Mueller is in a bind, and this is maybe where Rudy Giuliani and the latest DNC lawsuit can provide him an out. So people are now losing faith. There's a segment of the population that never had faith in Comey because he flip-flopped on his investigation. First he exonerated Hillary, then he reopened the email case when he found Anthony Weiner's 30,000 additional emails. And he said the reason he did that was really to help Hillary Clinton, because he basically wanted to clear her because word was getting out that they had had these emails for a month and they hadn't done anything about them. And if she became president, there would be a taint over her because this wasn't looked into. So he basically put another fix in, announced that we found this information. He was going to look at them. They did a mock look at them and then said everything is fine. But Hillary believes that that cost her the election. Well, Comey actually helped her stay out of jail by not properly running the investigation in the first place. And McCabe was involved in that as well. So here's Mueller's predicament. Mueller's reputation, currently right now, he's not had any of this taint him. Comey has done enough damage to himself by admitting that he basically conducted the Clinton campaign with an eye on the polls, and that basically he, his wife, his daughters all fervently wanted Hillary Clinton to win. They went to the Pussy Hat rallies after Trump was elected. So clearly he was in the tank for Hillary. Clearly McCabe was, his wife was, McCabe's wife was, and so were Page and Strzok, the FBI agents that are still at the FBI but have been removed from the Mueller team. So where again does this leave Mueller? Mueller, so far as I mentioned, has not been tainted by any of this, and I think that's where Giuliani comes in. People are looking to Mueller, you know, it's Mueller time, and Mueller's going to catch Trump, and you see Mueller in your rearview mirror. Nonsense. If they would have had something on Trump, it would have come out long ago, or it would have been leaked that they had something on Trump. Not the case. I think Mueller knows that the coup has failed, starting with the downfall of McCabe, and I think Comey is oblivious to how he appears, and the things that he says are so incriminating. I leaked information in order to get to my law school buddy so it would get to the New York Times so we get a special counsel. That's just admission of a crime right there. And then the way he claims he handled the Clinton investigation highlights why Rod Rosenstein, in a moment of clarity, said he should be fired. He actually admitted that he allowed Hillary Clinton, that he was worried about Hillary Clinton's legacy, that if she became president, that if he hadn't made the announcement about the additional 30,000 emails, which he had for a month, that her presidency would be tainted. So Comey's done. Rosenstein knows that he's played both sides of the fence here. He's recommended Comey be fired, but he's also took Comey's memos and recommended appointed a special prosecutor. That leaves Mueller again on his own. Rudy Giuliani comes along, and he needs to find a way out for Mueller. Mueller can't just drop this because 40–50% of the population believes that Mueller's hot on the heels of Donald Trump, because Donald Trump sat down with Vladimir Putin and plotted out how he could become president, you know, concocting names like Crooked Hillary and the like, and that it's only a matter of time until Mueller gets them. Well, that looks like that's not going to happen, and Mueller knows that's not going to happen. He didn't ask to be appointed. He was appointed on the basis that somehow he was this Boy Scout tremendous prosecutor, and he's probably, in his mind, he could say he's done the best he can, and he needs to drop it. And so coincidentally, what we had today was the DNC now has brought a civil lawsuit against the Trump campaign, against the Russians, and against WikiLeaks for their torpedoing their chances to win the presidency. So that, I believe, is an escape valve for Mueller, because Mueller can't just get up there and say, hey, look, we looked at everything, we tried, there's nothing there. I think he's going to have to say something like that, but in order not to have an utter revolt on their hands and to have the FBI discredited by the other half of the population who somehow believes that Trump and Putin are big buddies and that they fix this whole thing, there has to be something for that segment of the population who still fervently believes that Trump colluded. They're not going to take Mueller's word for it, and they're going to feel betrayed, just like they did when Comey came out, even though he was trying to help Hillary, and say that he'd reopened up the investigation again, knowing that he was going to close it down in 6 days, and then figured she would win. So this DNC lawsuit, I think, will provide the diehards with some hope that, but again, I think it's going to backfire, because if they do go forward with this and people are cheering it on and saying, well, now the Democrats are involved, the Democrats don't have a leg to stand on because they colluded themselves against Bernie Sanders. And also, think about how the FBI ran the investigation into Hillary's email servers. They'd never ever looked at the DNC server, which the DNC said their outside tech people said it had been hacked by Russians, and the FBI says, okay, well, if that's what they say, you know, we asked for it, they didn't want to give it to us, so we didn't do a pre-dawn raid to get it, we didn't subpoena them, we didn't do anything, we just accepted that and put in our report that, yeah, the DNC says they were hacked by Russians, and we're the FBI, but we just take the word for it. So I guess they were hacked by Russians, and that's now what happened. They were hacked by Russians, when a lot of people know that Podesta's emails weren't hacked. He fell for a phishing scam, and that's how his emails came out. So I think what's going to happen is Giuliani, he understands the ins and outs of the Southern District, U.S. Attorney stuff. I think he's basically going to offer him a way out. That basically he has to wind this down and basically say there's some other things and that people are looking at, but that his job is done. And then the DNC will have to decide whether they want to follow through with their lawsuit, because in discovery, Trump just tweeted out today, just heard the campaign was sued by the obstructionist Democrats. This can be good news in that we will now counter for the DNC server, the one that might show or not show that the Russians hacked it, that they refused to give to the FBI, the Debbie Wasserman Schultz servers, and documents held by the Pakistani mystery man, and the Clinton emails. And remember, the Clinton emails were never turned over. All we got from Comey was that there were a certain number of them, and that a certain number of them were top secret, a certain number were classified, and so on. But he never disclosed the contents of what was in those emails. He just made a determination that, yeah, she did all this, but she didn't mean it. She had no intent, and no reasonable prosecutor would ever take a look at this. So you had to accept his, well, you didn't have to, but you could accept his explanation on the basis that he looked at everything and he didn't think it would be reasonable. Well, if people find out what's in these emails, then people might have a much different view. Those people even believed in Comey, that you had to be out of your mind to let this woman go free if there's something in there. Well, there has to be, because the fact that they're labeled top secret, there's something really nasty in there that they don't want people to know. And she's got a homebrew server, and people make it sound, oh, it was just about her emails, you know, it's just Benghazi, it was just, you know, it's just Hillary Clinton, it's just Republicans on a witch hunt. Wrong. The witch hunt is really going the other way. So I expect, he says he can get this done, Giuliani, in the next week and a half, 2 weeks. I think the sooner Mueller winds this thing down, I think part of what he did was smart. He pushed that other thing to the Southern District with the Mueller, with the Cohen raid. So now that can carry on. The DNC now can do their lawsuit. But Mueller can get out of this before it comes back to him and there's some type of counterintelligence probe and starts investigating him and his ties to Hillary and the Uranium One deal. So I think what's going to happen is, may not, this is the Smaulgld speculation series, but I think the plan is for Giuliani to go and to work on Mueller to get Mueller to basically back off, maybe to get, and you know, maybe have Rosenstein also decide to sign off in some deal. And I think that there are people in the FBI, Priestap and Strzok and Page, who probably are also providing information. And remember, we haven't yet had the Inspector General's report come out on the overall handling of the Clinton campaign, the FISA warrants, and so on. I think Mueller wants to be gone before Horowitz releases his IG report. I think that will be the real damning report. The first report that he issued was about McCabe. It was very damning for McCabe and led to criminal referral. If the next IG report comes out and has criminal referrals on Comey, Rosenstein, or anyone else, then Mueller is sitting in the worst spot because he's been appointed by people under criminal referral. So I look for this to end before the Inspector General's report comes out. What do you guys think?